everybody. Welcome back to Riziko Life. My name is Pastor Jake, youth pastor for Harvest Christian Center. This is
Drew
Vincent. Hey, buddy. So, I feel like last week things went well.
Yeah.
Things went well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good time. It was a good conversation on, I hate to use the term dating, but sort of, because we talked about relationships.
Yeah.
I think it was really good. If you haven't watched that one, you need to go watch that. For sure, for real. Like, I think it's one of our best topics, one of our best probably episodes so far.
Mm-hmm.
I shaved my face.
I don't think it looks that good.
All right, we need a poll vote on the bottom. You let us know. You don't have hair on your face.
I got like a little bit right up here.
Oh, Shaggy, got you. Okay, like from Scooby-Doo, right? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be mean to you like that. You're being mean to me, though, kind of. Yeah, you told me this morning you didn't like that. What if my hair was different? Would that make it better?
No.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll find out. Because I'm cutting my hair, too.
Really?
I was like, really? But so, hey, we're going to talk about, let's do this. Today, Gen Z. This generation, it's your generation, Gen Z. Like, I'm Gen, it's really, I got sad the other day because I found out I'm a millennial. We can talk more about that in a minute. But, hey, this is Riziko Life. Let's go. Life. I'm Pastor Jake. This is
Drew.
And we're going to talk about Gen Z today, this generation. I was reading this Bible study with my own kids who are all Gen Z kids as well, and we were doing a Bible study together, and there was something that really stood out to me in this Bible study that I was doing with my personal children, my kids that I raise. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I say that because, like, I love all of our students, like all the teenagers within our youth group kind of are partial to me, usually, always. There's some that I don't like. No, I'm joking. I'm just teasing. I like them all. But, like, you were born, what year were you born in?
2008.
2008. Lord. Man, 2008. Huh. Anyway, I graduated in 01, okay? I graduated in 01. I don't know what year your dad graduated in, but I graduated in 01. And
it was like 1999 or like 2000.
So there's a generation, there's like a generation before mine called Generation X. And I liked Generation X mentality.
The boomers.
Well, the boomers were before that.
Oh.
So the boomers were like your, some of your hippie kids, right? That was kind of the 50s, 60s, flower children. My dad was born in 53. He's a boomer. There's two boomers. I didn't know this. There's like a boomer 1 and a boomer 2. I don't know why. That's at least what I saw online. Yeah, I guess you can't believe everything you see on the internet. But so there's two boomers either way. And then in the 60s, somewhere in the 60s, started this Generation X, right? Gen X started. And Gen X ended in 1980. Right, like 2 years before I was born. 81, 80, somewhere in there. And I was born in 82. So I'm like the beginning stages of the millennial children. And I don't mean to sound wrong about my brothers and sisters who are millennials with me. But I'm not a big fan of some millennial attitudes, right? And you've heard me preach and say millennial stuff before.
Yeah.
Millennials, God help me. Some millennials might seem lazy, right? Anyway,
yeah.
We've made fun of them. That's not neither here nor there. I'm a millennial, but I'm on the very beginning edges, the ending edges of Gen X. But you're Gen Z, and Gen Z's different. Like, Gen Z's totally different. And I mean, like, totally different to the degree of, like, you guys don't, it's really interesting because you have a work ethic of a Gen X. And Gen X, they work. Gen Xers are workers, right? They work hard. And I'm not saying everybody, because I'm sure you can name a bunch of people in your class that are lazy. Are there still some? I think there's a mixture, but I think Gen Zers, are a lot of them work hard, right? But they have a technology side of life as well And they have all this tech that's helped them work smarter and harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also, and like, Pastor Jake, why are you talking about generations, right? The Bible's full of generations, like full of them. You know, we talked about Adam. Adam lived so long, he had so many children, blah, 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 blah. His generation died, right? So there's so many different generational things in the Bible. But what I want to talk about today is how Gen Z has had it worse than anybody.
Yeah.
I think in a short time span. Like, you have seen the most, and I was reading this in this devotional, Gen Z has seen the most crazy out of any generation in modern history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what was before boomers. I didn't go that far back in my research, but I'm sure like the World War I, World War II era of people probably thought they had it as crazy, because you're talking, you got 2 world wars back to back, you've got a depression, you've got, I mean, that was probably similar in what we're seeing today. But I think on a spiritual level, we're seeing something more radical than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? Because even back then, people believed in Jesus, like the majority of people. But Gen Z today is fighting a different battle. Like, they are fighting a battle that's, I mean, you're in a storm, right? And in this Bible devotional that I'm talking about, it references a few different people. Ezekiel, who had weathered a lot of storms. Who else did it reference? Paul, who obviously was shipwrecked on an island, right? Left for dead multiple times. And Peter, who literally weathered a storm in a boat waiting on Jesus trying to get across a lake, a big lake. I say lake, it's a sea. I mean, it's massive, Sea of Galilee. But anyway, I digress. Going back to this, like, my generation has seen it. Like, we've seen it. Like, we've been a part of this. But this is all your generation has really known.
Yeah.
Like, from the time you can remember, bad things have happened. And I'm not trying to be gloom and doom here today, but, like, let's read real quick, and I'm going to pull my phone out because there's a quote I want to read from that devotional as well. But let's read this. I'm going to read this verse. Then you can pray, and then we'll go into some of this stuff here.
Okay.
Verse 22, Matthew 14, says, "Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into a boat and go across before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on a mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there." Verse 24, "But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, and the wind was contrary." So it was in a storm, right? I'm going to skip down to, no. Yeah, I'm going to paraphrase. Peter looks at Jesus, and he's like, "It's a ghost." They're like, "No, it's Jesus." Peter's like, if it's you, tell me to walk out here on the sea." He says, "It's me. Come on, let's go." Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Peter walks out on the water in the middle of the storm. I'm stop there because he took his eyes off of Jesus, right? He sinks. We all know the story.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in an hour, but you better not take your eyes off of Jesus, because you're going to sink in the storm, number one.
Yeah.
But as a student who's only lived in a lot of calamity, like, let's talk about that.
I think it's definitely, like, on a spiritual level. I feel like the devil is, like, working his dead level best, especially, like, right now to like, put an attack on, like, my generation, Gen Z. I feel like there's just so much more stuff that is being thrown at us. Like, there's so many things. Suicide rates have gone up. Like, drug usage of teenagers has gone up. Identity crisis is, like...
And I'm going to say something, because in 2008, there was an administration elected. Okay? We all know who that is. Who began to heavily push for homosexual marriage to be legalized, for abortion to be more rampant, for because I believe on a spiritual level there's a natural level of things that are occurring, right?
Yeah.
And we begin to see all kinds of problems, storms, hurricanes, earthquakes, right? Those are natural disasters as well as some really crazy. And that's when we begin to see a recession in 2008 that took place because of the administration. I'm not being rude. I'm just being accurate, historically speaking. All of that being said, it's all you've known. You've just known crazy after crazy after crazy after crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And this quote that I want to read to you that I read in this devotional for Gen Zers, it's really good stuff. I read it to you before we got started, but I'm going to read it again. It says, in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus' disciples were on a boat in a storm at sea. Jesus walked toward them on the water. They thought he was a ghost and was terrified. Jesus told them, take courage, it is I, don't be afraid. Then Peter said, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come out onto the water. And Jesus did. And Peter walked on the water. As long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, Peter walked on the waves. The storm became his platform. I love that quote because, you're in the middle of a storm, but it's actually the starting point for you to be able to have a platform for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How many times can you recall a conversation that started because of a storm situation? You ever had a conversation with somebody in school about homosexuality?
I think.
Or a conversation about Jesus that started because of homosexuality? Or gender identity?
Started as and
I don't mean debate. I mean just hey, here's the conversation at hand.
Yeah.
And it gives you a platform to talk about Jesus.
Yeah, so one time we were talking about something about Israel as a country and wars and things. And then eventually we got into Black Lives Matter. We got into
Storm.
LGBTQ.
Storm.
And then I began to ask questions like what do you think of this? What is your opinion on this? And then it just went from there.
Right? Defund the police. Storm. I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm not wanting to just bring up political situations. I'm just, this generation, my generation at your age, we didn't have, we did. It was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Homosexuality was a thing, but it wasn't open, right? It wasn't what it, and I'm telling you right now, oh, Lord, I'm filtering some things. Hang on. If you were gender confused, nobody knew that because that was a hidden thing, right? Because, and not that people, it wasn't, they were in fear, but I don't know if it was the fear of the Lord or if it was just fear of getting beat up. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say that, but we don't have that now. Would that be pretty accurate? It's like Sodom and Gomorrah time. Nobody cares. It's pride. It's interesting that the LGBTQ uses that word pride, as because Sodom and Gomorrah, I just was reading this morning, it was destroyed because of pride. It wasn't, yes, there was homosexuality in the streets, but pride was its agenda, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at political storms, right? We're looking at storms of invasion on a mass scale. How do you feel about the storms that you're seeing around you as a student?
I definitely think that like I said earlier, that we have the most so many issues being just thrown at us, and I think especially as a Christian, I think this is probably one of the hardest times to live as a Christian as a teenager.
Yeah.
Because there's just this spirit of confusion that has been just placed on the minds of kids like me that are making them question their sex, who they really are.
Well, not even their sex, but even to the degree of they're questioning whether they're human beings or not.
Yeah.
And that's way, way out there, right? We
Yeah.
would even in. And that turns into real pagan. We could get into some pagan rituals and ideologies here. Turning Red, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very,
Yeah.
very furry, very trans, very gender confusion going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being real. It's really weird. And I'm going to say this, and like this, I don't know if this is where I wanted to go, but I'm going to go there. Florida, and Disney wanting to let teachers teach kindergartners about gender identity and stuff. Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's still Gen Zers. Like, these are still Gen Z kids, right? This is not a new generation yet. It's still Gen Z kids. I don't know how that works. I don't know the timing change. I don't know when that's going to happen. To my knowledge, right now, we're still dealing with Gen Z. That's who they are. Maybe I'm wrong, but nevertheless, Gen Z storms are brewing and getting bigger by the minute, right? Yeah. And I think guys like me in the millennial crowd, people in the Gen X crowd, and even the boomers need to better stand up and fight for this Gen Z generation and help, or at least train you for battle, which is what I hope I'm doing. Like, I really, like, as a youth pastor, that's my heart. Like, my heart is, how do I train these students to fight? And you're like, Pastor Jake, that's not right. You shouldn't train to fight. No, I'm training them to fight the devil, not people, because I want them to win people, right? I want them to love people and win people. If anybody knows me, they know my heart. But, like, I never dreamed of the day where we would see students thinking they were animals, right? I never dreamed that would become a thing, but it is. It is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that really goes back to, if you look at Native American situations where they're spirit animals and whatever, you can tell it's all demonic. It's all centered around demon activity, right? Mm-hmm. So going through that directive, as a Gen Z student, middle school student, 8th grade, walking into school, middle school, and I'm not being demeaning when I say that. I really think shifts have happened in mentalities. I don't use the word maturities, but I use the word mentalities, where high school used to look like high school, but now it looks like college. And middle school now looks like high school, and the things we do. In 4th and 5th grade now looks like middle school. And I mean by like actions and how fast students are getting, and I don't even mean Christian students in general. I mean like, and just, so as a student walking into school, knowing the storm is brewing, is it difficult, or are you just used to it by now?
I feel like getting used to it is definitely like something that the devil can use to kind of like warp your mind into this mindset of being an animal isn't okay. But that's something that you definitely shouldn't do. Like when you walk into school, when you go to these places and you see that the storm is brewing, you definitely shouldn't get used to it, because getting used to it is what is going to make you more like prone to giving into temptation.
That's good.
And when you get used to the storm, you start to adapt to it. And that, like, the devil will use so many ways to do that. And me, like, personally, like, I feel like kids in my school, kids in the high school, everybody's moved up a level, and we're kind of, I feel like this pride is, I feel like pride is like a main focus for a lot of kids, because they want to be, like, you see a lot of kids saying that I want to be treated like an adult. I want to be treated as mature. I want to be mature, but a lot of kids aren't acting mature, and they're letting their pride get in the way of who they really are.
So they want the benefits of maturity, but they don't want to actually be mature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, okay. Now, with that being said, and the way you said it, I love it, because I was hoping you'd kind of go down there. Let's not get comfortable in the situation. We don't want the storm to be normal. We don't want that to be a normal thing. But unfortunately, in the culture and the era we're in, it's rampant. The storm is raging on. Adapting to the storm and being okay with the storm, I think, can be looked at as two different things sometimes. Because I think we need to know how to combat the storm, right? How do we fight a storm? What do you typically do when it's getting ready to storm?
Go inside.
Go inside, right? And as we segue into that, going inside, getting in God's presence.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way to combat this ideology that we're living in today.
Yeah.
It's the only way to feel safe. You know, he who, I'm going to butcher the quoting of this verse, but he who abides in the Most High will hide in the shadow of his wings, right? It's a psalm. I probably butchered it. Don't murder me on Facebook, all right? But, we're not on Facebook, YouTube, wherever. But like, right, so if we're going to abide from the storm, we have to abide in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And abiding in him for a student can be crazy. And we've talked about it the last few weeks, but I really feel like I want to say this again. Like, you have a Post-it note on your television, right?
Yeah.
That says, "Have you prayed today?"
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about quantity, or quality, not quantity. It ain't about like, oh, didn't get my 5 minutes in today, but it's not like a workout session, right? It's not like 75 hard, where like, and I only know about that because my wife's doing it right now, and she's like killing it at 75 hard. She's doing awesome. But like, she has to do so much workout time, right? So she has to do so much workout time. She has to eat certain ways. She has to read so many pages in a book, whatever. It's like this whole thing. It's a whole thing, and it's a crazy whole thing. But it's like, you may pray an hour one day, and it was all quality good because it just went that long. And you may pray 10 minutes the next day, and it was all quality good, and God released you, right? So it's all about quality, not quantity. But, like, staying in his wings, tell us what you do. Tell them what you do to be able to stay protected from the storm.
Yeah, so, like, a verse I don't even know where it is. You might know. It's, "The Lord is your strong tower. You run to him when you need help." And I love that verse because it's just like a reminder that you
Cutlass wrote a song. You don't know who they are, do you?
No, I don't know who that is. And
kids, just Gen Z's killing me.
I really like that verse because it's...
Wait, stop, hang on. You don't know that song? You are my strong tower, shelter over me. You don't know that?
No, I don't know that.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
It's just like a daily reminder that you can always like just soak in his presence. And I've kind of found myself like maybe one day I'm kind of like tired of, I just went to church Sunday. It's Monday. I prayed yesterday. I was in service for like an hour and 30 minutes. I really don't want to pray today. And
gosh, God, I like, right?
Yeah.
Millennials.
But yeah, the thing about that is that once you start to like develop a routine, you'll go about your day and you'll say, "I have to pray today before I do anything else. I have to pray."
Yeah.
And that's just something that you need to keep in your head, not to pray and read your Bible and seek God for just
not out of that's what I'm looking for here. You're saying it's like necessity for you, like you need air or you die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You need food and water or you die.
Yeah, and also like when you're praying and you're spending time in the Word, there's going to be a lot of days where you feel like nothing happens, and like there have been days I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna pray today, and I sit down, I pray, I'm like 15, 20 minutes in, I'm like, God, nothing's happened. Like, I just want to stop. And I remember one time I stopped praying. I was about to go do something else, and he said, "Come back." And I came back, and I waited, but nothing still happened. And maybe that was on me. Maybe I should have stayed longer because a lot of times in God's presence, it's not all listen to the song and sing the song.
That's good.
You have to listen for his voice. Well, it says that.
Well, prayer and praise and worship is two different things.
Yeah, like it's a still small voice that you have to listen for, and also there have been days that like.
So you're telling these students who are watching this today that prayer is not just me saying, "God, I need this, and I want this, and God, I need this." It's more than that. Mm-hmm. Like I have to stop talking and listen.
Mm-hmm.
What a concept!
Also, like.
I knew that, by the way, as being sarcastic.
There'll be some days that, like, you'll sit down, you won't expect anything, and then you'll get something.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten plenty of things in the past few days because after that moment where I came back and prayed, and because you really have to show God how devoted you want to be to Him. If you only pray exactly 5 minutes every day because you know you're supposed to pray, and Pastor Jake said you're supposed to pray each day, it's not going to work because you're just using Pastor Jake's word, using our word to kind of just do your own thing. Be like, okay, I'm going to pray for 5 minutes and I can go do my stuff. Something I always try to think about when I pray is I've tried to like all the time I've tried to pray longer, spend more time, and I kind of like throughout the day I keep this track in my head of like how long I did this, how long did I play my video games, how long did I watch TV, how long was I on my phone, and I try to die down on the phone and the TV time and do some more of the prayer time. But like when you start praying and you start reading your Bible daily.
Okay, so you said something. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna interrupt you, but you're gonna go along in the vein anyway.
Yeah.
So are you telling me that when you pray, you should read your Bible?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, what a concept. Because I think sometimes we get confused and think that we just read this and talk to God and hope something happens, right? But like reading this should be a part of your prayer time. Mm-hmm. Like it's a part of it. It goes along with it, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Elaborate on how you read the Word of God.
So like a lot of times when I'm praying, I'll start out. A lot of times I'll turn on some music. I'll sit down on my bed, and I'll just start praying. And what I love to do is, you might be saying, well, I have like 5 brothers and sisters. How am I going to have time to pray in my house? Everybody's so loud. Literally do this. Grab a pair of earbuds, put both earbuds in, sit down, listen to it, and just sing it out loud because God loves to hear you singing about his praise. And just sit there and sometimes, so I listen to like my music on Spotify.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't
you're grinning real bit. Like, tell everybody what that is. Like, what do you listen to? What songs? Like, what's your stuff? What's your go-to?
My go-to?
Yeah, what's your go-to?
I got a couple.
Songs and or bands.
Oh, bands.
Groups. It can be worship groups or it can be whatever.
I like Nothing Else by Cody Carnes. Give Me Jesus. Love that song.
Yeah, you and Haley both.
Elevation Worship. I have kind of like a list that I really like, but
Brandon Lake, Maverick City Music.
Yeah. So like I'll sit down, I'll listen to it, and then like literally I'll be sitting there, and then this verse just pops in my head, or this chapter of the Bible, and I'll go there and I'll read it, and then maybe that applies to me, maybe it doesn't, but you always want to write things down. I really suggest always writing things down, taking notes during service, because I don't know, like the last.
Because if they're good preachers, I'm not saying I am one, but if they are a good preacher, they're going to say something quality because they're going to have spent time with God for the word they're delivering to you.
Yeah, so like last week I was praying and I just got a bunch of stuff, and I grabbed my laptop and I just started to type.
Nice. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to go somewhere with what you just said. I'm going to apply it to the quote we talked about. Mm-hmm. Right, so being in a storm. You ever been caught in a storm?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. 2 storms I can think of that I was almost caught in. But I was I'm going to go there. Hang on. It's good stuff. Talk about the one I wasn't prepared for, okay? I used to have a neon green scooter. 489cc scooter, okay? I used to ride that bad boy to Farmington, right, on the outer roads, and I'd go to work. I worked in construction, right? I'm not even playing, for real, like all for reals, okay? I remember one time coming home. You know where Solid Rock Christian Church is in Farmington? It's out on the highway near that antique store place. It's like off the highway. It's just down from Rural King. Like if you're going north, it's on the left-hand side. It doesn't matter. You know where it's at. I promise. I'm on that outer road, right? And like lightning flashes and rain starts. And I'm like, I'm on a scooter. No, this ain't a good idea. I whip it in there to that church, and there's an awning, and I whip in underneath there. But I got caught out in that storm because I was unprepared for the storm.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're inside your house and you know the storm's going on and you know you've got to go out there, you get prepared. Mm-hmm. Right, let's say you got to go outside in the storm. You're going to put a jacket on. You put a rain jacket on.
Mm-hmm.
You might, like, if you're a little kid, because they really like these, you might put those rubber boot things on. Right, you're gonna. Like, I remember one time. Can I tell another story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember one time. So don't judge me, okay? Don't you dare judge me. I'm going to say something. We used to raise pigs when I was a kid. You judged me right there. You did it. Anyway, we used to raise pigs growing up, and I had this one, and they had like, the PETA's going to get really mad at me when I say this. But we had electric fence up for these pigs because pigs are mean and they're jerks sometimes. And we had electric fence up around the fence, and I had rubber boots on, and it was pouring down rain, storming. I had to go feed these things, and I went outside because my dad's like, go feed the pigs. I'm like, it's storming. He goes, yeah, they need to eat. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. I go out and I get in the pen, and like my rubber boots ended at a certain spot, and that fence. So like rubber boots and fence. And I caught the back of my leg in a pouring down rainstorm on an electric fence. You want to know what hurts? That hurts real bad. Anyway, I wasn't prepared for that storm, right? I wasn't ready for it. I had rubber boots on, but I really wasn't ready for the shock of the lifetime that I got, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're telling us today, and what we're trying to convey to you today is, there's a way to be ready for the storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the storm can be your platform, right? The storm doesn't have to be a storm. It can be a platform for you to excel Jesus to people's lives. And typically it should be. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Like, how boring... I don't want to say that like that. If everybody has always agreed with you, then preaching Jesus would be easy.
Yeah.
Right? If everybody you ever went up to was like, hey, let me tell you about Jesus. Okay, I'll get saved. Like, you didn't even have to do anything. That would be what that would be like, but that's not what it's like because there's storms.
Mm-hmm.
There's LGBTQ storms. There's transgender storms. There's Black Lives Matter storms. This is all in your school, right?
Yeah.
There's Ku Klux Klan members wanting to beat up. I mean, that's for real around where we are at.
Yeah.
So you're saying you should get prepared for the storm, right?
Armor of God.
Armor of God, be in the Word, know the Word, have the Word, carry the Word, be with the Word. You're saying that praise, prayer, and reading your Bible will prep you for the storm.
Yeah.
And turn it into a platform. Man, that's deep stuff. But you do it. 14. At 14 years old, you handle all of that situation. Do you ever want to, because I think they need to hear this, and we'll close on this note. Do you ever want to say no? Not today.
All the time.
Yeah, because that's the flesh. You look at it and like, and I don't mean that to sound rude or wrong. I think sometimes it's like you're tired. You've been reading books all day long.
And also something, every time, like I'll open my Bible on my phone, I'll sit down to pray. Every time I do that, the second I sit down, the second I put my earbuds in to listen to my music, I get tired. Every time I get sleepy.
Yeah.
Because I sit on my bed when I pray, and this thought just crossed my mind, is like just whooshes past, and it's like, just lay down and take a nap.
Or other things go by, like, I got to do this. You know, every time I pray, I'm gonna be real. Every time I pray, I'm like, oh. Okay, I gotta edit this video with Drew. And like things just start popping in my head, like, oh yeah, I remember I need to do this. Good ideas. Yeah, I'm gonna throw out some good ideas. Keep a notebook with you for 2 reasons. Number 1, take down notes in case God tells you something. Number 2, you can write that stuff down. Oh, I need to do all these things later. Because God's not gonna be offended that you wrote something down that you need to take care of later. Yeah. But He wants you to spend time with Him.
He wants you to put you first.
Yeah.
Put Him first.
He can be first. Oh yeah. I need to take out the trash so Mom doesn't yell at me. Got it. Okay. Oh yeah, need to clean that toilet up real good. I'm helping your mom out right now. Do you clean the toilet?
Sometimes.
You do not clean the toilet. You're such a liar. Anyway, being prepared for the storm, I think, is key. How we prepare for the storm is prayer, the Word, and worship. Right? That's the way. And all those things can happen simultaneously. I mean, you can listen to the worship while you're reading the Word, while you're praying. And I think all those things are imperative. Any final thoughts that you have?
That's pretty much it.
I think it's good. That was good times. Well, if you didn't watch the last video, make sure you go watch it because it's good. This one is incredible. Share this with your friends. hit the bell, like, subscribe, share, do all the things that they got to do. We're at 53 subscribers. We're looking for 100, y'all. Come on, let's get there, right? We hit that first benchmark of 50. Now we're shooting for 100. We're only 97 away. No, 57 away. My math. 47. Math, not good today. Not good. Read the Bible. Read the Bible. Don't worry about math. It's stupid. No, I'm joking. That's bad, right? I got parents hate me now.
I personally think math is not that fun. I think it's pretty stupid.
Yeah. But because God's math and our math are different.
Yeah.
Like, God can multiply things way better than we can. So, anyway, I'm Pastor Jake. This is
Drew.
Welcome to Riziko Life, where we just talk radical, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm going back. That's radical.
Yeah.
We're talking about this generation's living radical, or better.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing. Do you see a time coming where they're either going to live radically for Jesus or radically for the devil?
Yeah.
Is it close?
Yeah.
Is it closer than a lot of parents think?
Yeah.
I see it because I go to schools. I see it because I work with students all the time. I see it. I literally see. It's either one, and there are some, like I say that, there are some churches playing games with God, and some of their students are too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a massive shift of radical Jesus freak loving people and radical Satan worship, and I don't know that they know that they're doing that, but that's what they're doing, right? And I think the line is clearly being drawn in sand, and there's some people here in the middle that's going to have to figure out where they're going.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's figuring it out. But if they want to be able to weather this storm, then they better get close to Jesus. Amen?
Mm-hmm.
The only way to do that is Bible study, prayer time, worship. I'm Pastor Jake. This is
Drew.
Thanks for being with us on Riziko Life, man. We're excited that you're here. We're glad that you're showing up and watching these videos. I don't know. Wednesday nights, 6:45. You want to be here?
Yep.
Everybody likes this guy's drumming ability. Worship's fun. He's our drummer. We want you to be here. Hey, we thank you. We're glad you've been here. Glad you've been with us. We need them to drop some comments in the bottom of this video to let us know what they want to talk about, though. Because we want to talk about what you want to talk about. So drop some comments in the bottom of this video. Let us know what you want to talk about. But until next week, we'll see you then, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.